Well, hello, Miss Carmen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I do well. I can't speak for Mikey, but I'm doing kick-ass. So, hi.
Why not?
How are you?
Goodness, you look fantastic, but there's no surprise there. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
By the way, how's the spider bite?
It's a lot better.
Oh.
It's a lot better. You know what? I don't have many fears, but I'm afraid of spiders, and of course, that's why.
No, I get it. I'm afraid of weird, camping and hiking. I'm totally, absolutely not. You couldn't pay me enough to do that kind of stuff because I'm not down with the weird ass bugs that I've never seen or anything like that. That's just not me. I'm more of like, let's go get sushi in the city. It's something like that. Like we have AC now. We have hotels, room service. We don't need to do all that kind of crap.
I was the little girl, like tomboy little girl that would catch frogs, snakes, lizards, spiders. I'm not down. They're the legs and they're slow crawling and I don't know. And then poisonous. There you go.
Yeah.
It's they could be anywhere.
Don't lie, I can't get this guy to do shit. 2 weekends ago, I was at 10,000 feet atop a mountain near Lassen, and he's like, man, you're stupid.
Absolutely not.
So, Carmen, speaking of childhood, tell us about, well, not little Carmen at the time, and I would like to ask later about the changing of the name, but tell us about you as a little girl. I mean, obviously, talking about being a tomboy, but what were you like growing up? How did you get into dancing? All those things.
I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and my mom was a singer. My dad plays guitar. So they've always been very open about the arts or, whatever it is I wanted to do. My mom said I was dancing out of the womb. As soon as I was born, I was moving around and dancing. And so she decided to put me into dance classes, which then led to dance competitions, pageants. And at the age of 9, I auditioned for the School for Creative and Performing Arts and was accepted. And at that point, my dance career got really serious. My major was classical ballet and modern dance. My minor was vocal music and drama.
Did you ever have, when I'm talking about ballet, of course, you tend to think tall, lanky women. Was that something that you faced? There was maybe a point where it's like, ballet may not be my route?
Absolutely. I was really into it, and I studied hard. When you start, such, intense ballet classes with Russian teachers, I'm talking the real deal. At age 9, I'm skinny and, haven't hit puberty yet.
Right.
So I was, doing really well in ballet and would always get, an A+ in that, in the arts. But I remember hitting puberty and, my body was just a little heavier than some of the other girls in the class that went on to go to SAB and Joffrey and all these other ballet companies. And it was at that point, my teachers were, they were harassing me. I mean, it was, they would call you out in front of the class and, say, you need to stop eating donuts or whatever. It was pretty brutal. I mean, it's pretty intense. We would have chairs thrown at us. I mean, we're talking, it's very strict. There's a lot of discipline that comes with studying classical ballet. And it was at that point I thought, I remember I'd eat a Starburst for lunch. That's not good.
Oh, man.
That's a good thing. And I don't know, I started to lean more toward jazz and hip hop and that's where I felt like I fit in. But it was good because I did have some classical training under my belt, which definitely pushed me, way ahead in jazz and other forms of dance.
Yeah, because it has to be like any other art form, having dabbled in music a little bit or acting is what I went to college for. Is if you're taking as many different areas and learning in them, it only enhances the area you focus on, I would think.
Ballet has come, if anything, I can show people like my art, if I'm with the dancers and whether it was burlesque, throughout my career or, any kind of dancing or performing, definitely can show them I'm a real dancer and, that I trained really hard and that's fun. That's always fun, I mean, that's just kind of what we do. And, you're sitting around in the studio and you're learning choreography. I remember one of the choreographers I worked with would say, show the girls your art, show them your turnout. And they're like, whoa, you really studied. So that made me feel good.
Well, and that's really great to hear. Is I think it shows why you've had such a wonderful longevity in your career too. Is that you have studied all these areas and you have utilized them throughout your career.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I tried, I mean, to be honest, going back to the School for Creative and Performing Arts, in the arts, I wasn't shy at all. But when it came to academics, I was a completely different person. I was that emo chick sitting in the back of the class, hair in front of my face, drawing, thinking to myself, please don't call on me, please don't call on me. And I wouldn't even get up in front of the class and read a book report. I just was super, super shy in that way.
Yeah.
I was with my friends, I wasn't, but don't call me up in front of a group of people. So, I mean, now you can't shut me up, so I definitely got over that fear.
That's a good thing. And we all find that kind of comes with age. It's funny you're talking about that, and I'm shaking my head. Oh yeah, don't call me out at all.
Well, me either, and not because I was shy. It's because I didn't know what the hell the answer was or what the hell to talk about, But I could talk in front of people. I can kind of bullshit the answer a little bit, but.
Right.
Now, was that kind of a thing that maybe because your parents were more from the arts that the academia, they just didn't see as much value, or they just kind of accepted, okay, Carmen, she's, more explorative of her arts and that's her expression, and maybe it's just not going to happen in academia?
It's funny because I told my mom, I said, I'm not going to need, and I just blatantly told her, I said, I'm not going to need any of this. I don't need to learn this. I'm gonna be successful, but I don't need to learn this. Right. Which is weird. And I've heard a lot of people say that. And when I look back at it, it's kind of a bold statement to say as a little girl. My mom was super cool, and she understood. I mean, I kind of learned my lesson because I, one year had to go to summer school, and that was a bummer. And you definitely don't want to go, to school during your summer off, right? Mm-hmm. And so I started to try to pay more attention, and I slid by, I grabbed and I slid right on by.
Yeah, I know all too well. So how then, when you transition out, what would be the high school period? Where did you head from then?
I auditioned for a show at this amusement park called Kings Island. The show was called It's Magic, and it was singing and dancing and magic tricks. I was the song half girl. But that was a big deal to me. I mean, in Cincinnati, it's a big deal, and I don't know. I was shocked. I got the a part in this production, and it really helped me. It helped me with my confidence a little bit. Hey, maybe I can do this.
Yeah. So when you're doing that, how is the transition to the point where you just go, this is where I'm committing my life to performance and this is what I'm going to do? Or like you said, when you were 9-ish, was it already that commitment and this was just the building blocks towards where you wanted to go?
I think when I was younger, at performing arts, we did a lot of musicals. They were always setting up these big productions. The King and I, The Sound of Music. I did dinner theater. So I knew that I wanted to go. I didn't, specifically know exactly what I wanted to do. But I think at one point Broadway was what was really on my mind. I think I'm gonna try for Broadway. And then I ended up going to the West Coast instead.
So when you got out, why did you deter from going to Broadway in New York and heading out to the West Coast, or did an opportunity come up that took you out west?
I met this girl who was visiting someone in Cincinnati, and we were at a teen club, and I was just dancing, and she said, "You're a really good dancer. I could see you being in music videos." And like something in my mind clicked, and I thought, oh, that would be much more fun than Broadway. Rhythm Nation, Janet Jackson video.
Yeah.
And so she was really cool and said, you can come out for a week and stay at my house while my mom's in Mexico. And so I saved up my money from the amusement park, and then I went out there. I flew to Los Angeles. I gave myself a week. I said, I have 1 week to see how this feels and if I like it. And a lot of things happened in that 1 week.
In a week? Goodness. I moved to LA giving myself a year, and that didn't work. I'm back here now, but in a week, goodness, good for you. I mean, obviously you did well.
If I had more money, I probably would have,
right.
Stay longer, but it was, I didn't have enough money to, I think I had 20 bucks in a plane ticket, so.
Oh, shit.
That's so awesome, because it's such like, you hear this situation of, that's a really adverse set of circumstances to like, how long do I have to make shit happen? Oh, 7 days and $20.
5150 Apparel, lifestyle with a purpose.
Yeah.
So what happened in that week, Carmen?
Yeah, what? Tell us about that week.
We were, I think I was 18 at the time, and we were sneaking into nightclubs, and believe it or not, there's a lot of, it's so crazy. It doesn't seem real, and you wouldn't ever give advice to someone. Yes, go to LA and go to nightclubs. Who knows? You might meet the right people, but I remember the first offer I received was to dance on Soul Train. And
Really?
I thought I had made it. That was it. Soul Train? Are you kidding? I grew up watching Soul Train. I got to, do the Scrabble board, dance on a riser. I mean, that's what I thought that I was going to do. And you don't even get paid to do it.
Was Don Cornelius still there doing "It's time to take another ride on the big train"?
Don was there.
That's so awesome. Oh, see, when I said it, I love watching Soul Train. But okay, so you're at Soul Train, and they weren't paying at the time. It's just an opportunity.
They weren't paying, but I was really excited. I knew everyone at home was going to watch, and I thought I had made it. To be honest, when I never saw myself as a center person. I always thought of myself as I want to be a part of, like, a backup dancer, not the person in front. And so it was just interesting how things started to unfold. Within that week, we had snuck into another nightclub, and this girl walked up to me, and it was kind of the same thing. She said, I have an all-girl band that Prince is, you know, putting together for me. You have the look that I want, and I like how you dance. Will you audition? And I thought, well, yeah, I'll audition for Prince, no problem. So that was kind of the next step.
So at what point in that process, obviously, things came to fruition with Prince, which I'm a huge fan of. That's how you came on my radar. How did it go? I've never looked this up, even though I know all these facts. How did the name Carmen Electra come about?
So to make a long story a little bit shorter,
Okay.
I auditioned for the band, and then I didn't hear anything from Prince, and I thought, I blew it. So a friend took me to Capitol Records, and I got a demo deal. Because I ended up with a demo deal, I was able to stay in LA. I'm at the Holiday Inn in Glendale. My phone rings. It's Prince. And I was in shock. And he basically said, you know, I heard you're recording demos, and I'd like to sign you to my label, Paisley Park. Can you come and listen to, I wrote you a song. Can you come and listen to it? So I went to Larrabee Studio. It's so wild. This is so wild. I go to Larrabee Studio, and it was a song called Carmen on Top.
Oh.
Carmen. No, my name is Tara. He said, you don't look like a Tara. And, you know, when Prince says something.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm 18, you know.
Yeah.
You don't run into people, Prince and people like that in Cincinnati normally. And so from there, we started recording, and he said, you need a last name. We need to give you a last name. And he came up with Electra, and I thought it sounded like a superhero, but I thought it was pretty catchy. And coming from Prince, I was down. I said, yeah, let's go.
I think if Prince were to rename me, I'd be down. You look like a Mark. I'd be like, that's fine, dude. Right on. Mark it is.
You look like a Mark. You got it, Prince.
You got it, Prince.
So you got the recording stuff going with him. You're just 18 years old. This stuff is coming at you fast and furious. How did you manage? Because this is one of the things that I really want people to understand is, you know, you've been through all these really interesting situations and come out on the end being a very strong, independent woman with her own identity. But how at 18 are you navigating these situations and scenarios?
You know, the opportunities were right there. They were right in front of my face. And, you know, a little piece of advice that I always give people who ask is, you know, study whatever it is you want to do, study it and be ready, because when that opportunity comes, you want to be ready for it. Otherwise, it's not going to match up. And if you want to follow your dreams, I think being prepared for that opportunity, because you just never know. I mean, what are the odds? We sneak in a nightclub, I end up auditioning for Prince. I mean, it's wild. It you know, how everything happened. Coping with, you know, all of this, it was sort of a situation where I have to go for it. I have to get over my fears. Otherwise, I'm going to miss out on these opportunities that I'm face to face with. And believe you me, I was terrified when I was in the studio with Prince. And he's on the other side, and I'm in the, you know, the recording booth with the microphone. It's kind of shaky, and you know, he's tough too.
Yeah.
He'll definitely tell, you know, if you sang a note wrong, he would bark like.
However, that's a lot better than getting chairs thrown at you, though.
he would clown you. He has a great sense of humor and, a little sarcasm. So he would definitely let you know that wasn't good, and you're just like, oh my God, can I do this? Can I pull it off? I have to give it my all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what's the point when within a relationship like that, and I mean on a working level, that it's just where you look in the mirror and say to yourself, Carmen, I got to go in a different direction of this now?
Yeah.
Because that came to fruition.
It did.
Yeah.
That did come to fruition after I opened up for Prince. He asked me to open up for him on the Diamonds and Pearls tour. And that was just another experience. Whoa, I have to pinch myself. It's like a dream. This is insane. And coming back off of that, I had already recorded my album, and we were shooting music videos. So I was spending a lot of time in LA. And I don't know, when Prince would leave and go on tour, if I wasn't on the tour, I wasn't recording. I was kind of, I didn't have, friends or family there. And so I thought, he has a house in LA. He spends just as much time in LA. I went to him and I just said, can I, is it cool? Can I live in LA and just so I can take dance classes and stuff like that, where, there's a lot more of that in LA. He was totally cool with that, no problem. We could record in LA, the same as Paisley Park. So yeah, he was open to it. And then, he went on tour and he had me doing a lot of things. Like I said, photo shoots and music videos. And I just remember it hit me, and it's once again one of those crazy things that you think in your mind. And I remember saying, at one point it came down to he said, either you come back to Minneapolis and we keep going, but if you want to stay in LA, you're on your own. And it just came out of my mouth. I'm on my own.
Okay.
And I just remember thinking, oh God, I made the wrong decision. I was living like a princess, purple jeans and shopping sprees and working. But I felt like I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why I made that decision. And after that, I struggled. I did struggle. I did pretty hard. And I would kind of kick myself and go, oh, you shouldn't have said that. You should have gone back to Minneapolis. Yeah, times got a little rough.
Yeah. But that's a part of that innate thing, I think, the necessity to persevere and create our identity. Do you look back at that and think that it was just, because at that time you were 19, 20 when you made that decision?
I was about 21.
Okay.
21 going on 22. I lived in Minneapolis for, a few years. So yeah, it was just a weird thought, and I said it and it happened. And I remember, I didn't have credit cards. I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have a car because the car I was driving, I had to return it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would always have a bodyguard with you at all times. He was like always, making sure you're safe or comfortable, that's just what he would do, with his artists and people close to him. And so I remember not having that, that person that really is taking care of me when he's not around. And yeah, I remember I had a shank. count and change, walking to the payphone. I had a pager. I did have a pager. I have to watch the payphone. I remember sitting, watching cars drive by and going, you know, man, I would do anything to have a hoopty right now. No, just because I moved to the valley. I was deep in the valley, so really far away from everything. It was that was. I think, you know, now that I look back at it, I needed that time because I knew I was going to have to hustle.
Yeah.
And I was not going to give up. I was not going to give up.
Well, and Hollywood and life in general is throwing a lot of things your way. It's almost like, ironically, we have been watching The Last Dance. I've gone through it like 3 times. We're like, there's Carmen. We're talking to her soon. But it's that idea of training at 150% for the 100% that life is going to throw at you.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize it was going to be so tough living in LA, broke. But, you know, it's interesting. Because of Prince, I had really, really nice clothes, and I had my makeup case, and you know, if I went out with friends, no one knew
Sure.
what I was going through, you know, but and so then I started to meet people in the business again, and that cycle, you know, started again.
Yeah. Well, at what point is there, you know, the segue into where you're getting a little more on-screen stuff, you know, the acting roles and things of that nature start to come into play?
I started to get offers to audition, and I was scared to death. I mean, you know, I want to be a dancer, and I'm used to this system, working with Prince, and you know, you record and then you shoot the video, or it's a live performance. And everyone would say, you should get into acting. You should model. Really, but I'm 5'2", and you know, I'm short. You know, model. Aren't they 6 feet tall? Like it just, you know. But I kept hearing it, and acting, just scared to death. And I would walk out of auditions all the time. I'd go in the lobby. I'm waiting in this room. I'm seeing all these beautiful women, and I just thought, I got to get out of here. And you know, there was a couple people that wanted to manage me, and they were kind of testing it out. And one of them said he had worked with Jenny McCarthy and Pamela Anderson, and he said, you're never going to make it. You know, you're never going to make it like Jenny and like Pam. And I remember I felt kind of pissed me off, kind of, you know, I cried, but I was like, you're not going to tell me what's going to happen. And it lit a fire.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
You know, I mean, these are 2, you know, women that I looked up to, and I still do. Gorgeous, talented women, you know, in the business. And so, you know, after getting those fears and just jumping in and, you know, kind of changing the dialogue, you know.
Yeah.
We have this dialogue in our head, right? So the dialogue would be, you're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to make it. You got to get out of here. You're not an actress. Blah blah blah. You know, our minds can mess with us sometimes, right?
Yeah, that negative self-talk is a son of a bitch.
Oh, it's wild. And so I just tried something new, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna be myself. And MTV gave me my first huge opportunity, and it was fun. MTV was my college.
Yeah.
College, but that was college. And they taught, basically MTV taught us mistakes are good. It's punk rock, make mistakes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. So it took a lot of the pressure off, you know, and I got to act crazy like I would and silly like I would with my friends, you know, and it really got me out of, you know, those fears.
The Knockin Doorz Down autobiography by Carlos Vieira. It takes you deep into his destructive past and how racing saved his life and opened the door to give back to the community. And 100% of the sales go directly to the Carlos Vieira Foundation, an organization committed to raising awareness for addiction, mental health, and autism. And for inspiration and motivation, tune in weekly to the podcast every Thursday for real-life episodes from celebrities and local heroes. Get Knockin Doorz Down today at kddmediacompany.com or Amazon.
Yeah, it gave you the opportunity to take who you are, kind of turn it up to 200, and hey, everybody's an idiot. It's just sometimes we hide it well, and it's kind of like, screw it, no, I can just let it flow now.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, that was the turning point where I was like, okay, mistakes they're good. Mistakes are all right. We all make mistakes. I'm not gonna walk into everything and be perfect. But I can go and do the best that I can. And I started learning how to study more. Because I was walking blindly a little bit. But you know, it taught me a lot. Singled out, MTV, all those spring breaks. I just cut loose. I let it all go. I let fears go, insecurities go. And I'm like, hey, I'm laughing with you. You know?
Well, it showed because Carmen, I gotta be honest, you had me glued to a lot of MTV at one point, so.
It was a blast, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So you bring up Jenny, you bring up Pamela. How was it at the point that Playboy was presented to you and you decide, hey, because I mean, you're mentioning, this is one thing that I really want to get across about with beauty. I have a daughter myself, and women that I love, and you know, and the way of what society puts beauty in, and you know, I think women and men would be surprised that you know, you had insecurities because you're saying, oh, I'm only 5'2" or whatever. Where's the point you went, you know what, I'm gonna do this? And was it because of empowerment?
It was through experience. I have this thing that I sort of learned. If a lot of people that don't know each other keep telling you the same thing about you, there's something to that. And I remember, I mean, if I was at the Beverly Center, shopping, walking around, random people that I didn't know, they were all saying the same thing. Are you an actress? No. You should be an actress. Are you a model? No. I mean, I've had photo shoots, but I'm not a model. You should be a model. You should do this. And I kept hearing it from so many different people that it just kind of went in. It went in, and I thought, you know, this is bizarre. And even if it's something bad, till this day, good or bad, if I notice that and I pay attention to it, because, you know, we all go through ups and downs in life, and that's just, you know, I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that.
Yeah, I just prior to this podcast, I had 20 years in radio, and I had people that come up to me and go, you know, you got a pretty decent radio voice. Yeah, ironically, thank you. So, yeah, no modeling. No, I was never asked to be in Playboy. They wouldn't have me. I was too tall.
I never got the modeling question either, but in my little stint in Hollywood, I did get asked if I did film, not like ones you would do. The other kind of films, because I've had this mustache.
He's talking about the ones made in the Valley.
Yeah, those kinds. I got asked that, and I'm not even kidding. I would get business cards all the time. I don't know if you remember a very fancy sushi restaurant that was on the corner on Hollywood Boulevard. I don't know if I can say the name on here.
You can say
Geisha House. Do you remember Geisha House?
I do, yeah.
I used to work at Geisha House. So people would come up to me and present me with their adult films business cards, and I'm just like, okay. That's the 7th one this week. Not doing this, you know, and it was just, all right, well, maybe I should shave the stash in Hollywood, but no, I'm not going to let that define me. I'll just keep going.
Getting into the porn business. You said no, right?
Just,
Yeah.
I'm like,
His mom's very proud of the no.
Yeah, my mom's very proud of that.
So what was your experience like with Playboy, and how do you reflect back on that now?
I was given the opportunity to take a meeting. I went in, had a meeting with, it wasn't with Hugh Hefner, but it was with the people that worked for him. And, you know, they just said, you have something about you, and we would love, you know, for you to test you. And I thought, but I had to go, but I was petrified. I had never shot nude photos before, nothing more than a, you know, bikini, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, is this the direction I want to go down? You know, and I had time to think about it, and I thought, well, you know, Marilyn Monroe did the first cover. If I'm gonna do it, I think Playboy is, you know, is the right place. But I have to tell you, when my first day of shooting, I was terrified once again terrified, because they start you off with, you know, a corset and bottoms, and you know, little by little, you're starting to take stuff off. And I'm like, can we clear the set? Because there's like all. I'm not comfortable with that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you know, you know, I guess I had a little bit more control because I was offered to be a playmate or to shoot a celebrity pictorial. I chose to shoot the pictorial because they knew that I'd worked with Prince, even though at the time I wasn't famous. They knew that, you know, I worked with Prince, and I nothing against being a playmate. I know playmates. I love them. Some really cool, sweet girls, but that's just my choice was to do it that way, and so I had a little bit more control.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
I kind of gave.
you still have to do the nude photos. I mean, Hef is like, no, this is Playboy.
Yeah.
You still have to do them, but you know, you can just kind of pose classier. You don't have to show quite as much. It's just that little tiny bit of control.
Right.
And
Did you find that allowed you to include more of your identity as well, as you said, to be a celebrity? So there was people like me that knew you, and then there's people that now it became, they went, whoa, look at this stunner, and she did all of this.
when my Playboy issue first came out, it blew up, and it was strange because I started getting fan mail. It was just a whole different world, and then I saw the power in doing so. Yeah. And you know, I even in the beginning, with working with Prince, I wanted to be a sex symbol. I wanted to do that. My dance teachers don't understand it. I mean, they honestly have called me to say, you know, they're angry about it. No, you studied. You classical ballet and you have training. Why would you do that? Listen, I was broke. I made a nice little amount of money, and I was in control of the photos, and I loved how they turned out. And it did take me up to a different level. And after Playboy, that I did get the job at MTV.
Oh, okay. I thought the order was reversed.
Yeah, I shot Playboy first.
Okay. So then how do we get along to the Hoff himself and moving into to the Baywatch era there? Which we actually have a fan question, because we did put out some fan questions concerning, one person had one concerning Baywatch. Okay.
Well, you know, the transition was, I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, Playboy meets MTV. You know, it all happened so close back to back. I was asked to audition. by that time, when I was at MTV, UTA, it's a big talent agency. They all came down in suits and said, "You need an agent. You need this. You need that." And they were great. And I went for it. I went in. So they called me and said, "Baywatch wants you to come in and audition. Pamela's leaving the show, and they're looking for some new girls to be on the show."
So was when your manager told you that you'll never be like Pamela, was that running through your head when that opportunity presented itself?
Not yet, because I didn't know if I was going to get, I
Okay.
didn't know if I was going to get the role. I was more, but I really wanted it. I really wanted to be on the show.
Mhm.
When Jenny left, singled out, that thought did run through my mind.
Right.
And Jenny's awesome. We're really good friends. I love her to death.
Mhm.
But it was that moment where, wow, I'm filling Jenny's shoes. Like,
Yeah.
I can go back and tell him you're wrong, and I ended up doing that.
Who gets to give the middle finger? Carmen gave the middle finger. So we did have a fan questions out there, Baywatch. I believe it was, who was your most favorite person to work with, and who was your least favorite person to work with? We can go more towards the positive if you only want to stick in that area.
Okay, my favorite girl to work with was Yasmin Bleak. The gorgeous,
She seems sweet.
Yasmin Bleak. She welcomed me right away. She's a girl's girl. There was nothing weird. She told me everything I needed to know. And we stayed friends for a long, long time. I know she has moved away and got out of the business, but at that time, it was refreshing. I'm a girl's girl too, and we just clicked. Yasmin and I clicked. I loved being the love interest of Cody.
I bet he loved it too.
Yeah, and he was very sweet. He helped me. I mean, that was my first acting gig without acting, taking classes really. It was kind of, it came up. It was a intense time because I was shooting singled out on the weekends, 4 shows a day, Saturday and Sunday, and Monday through Friday, 12-hour days on Baywatch. But it was like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd cry driving home because I was so tired. And you get dialogue, the dialogue's coming in, and learning, how to look like a lifeguard as much as I possibly could. That was wild. I mean, we had to take swimming lessons and learn learn how to look like a lifeguard.
And people don't understand, you sit and you watch a show and it's 60 minutes, how much damn work each individual on a set, be it film, TV, or whatever, puts in just to produce a final product. They think, handsome guy, pretty lady, they show up, the camera rolls, you say some shit, and there you go.
No, it's a lot harder than, I would see people look at their sides. David Hasselhoff could look at his sides. And when I say sides, it's, you get the script for the scenes for that day. He would just look at them and he knew it. I'm more the type of person, I have to study them, go over and over and over my sides and work on it. And then that made me feel more comfortable to come in prepared. But yeah, it was, wow, that was a trip. Now I'm on this, the #1 show in the world, and there's, people from every country on set, like standing around the beach shooting pictures. Yeah. It was unbelievable. It was crazy. I feel so blessed, and I'm really, I just don't know how it happened so fast, but it did, and I rolled with it. I got to do it. I have to do it.
Was there anyone that was imperative in your life that maybe if you were getting a little too big for your britches and the humbleness, because you just sound so refreshingly humble and delightful, that kind of, you know, hey, Carmen, come back to center a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it naturally happens, like fans or, you know, people that you don't know that recognize you. I remember I was kind of humbled, you know, when I was at MTV. I mean, you just think that this is it, you know, everything's good, which is one of the biggest lies ever, you know. You know, everyone always says, once I make it, everything's perfect. No, no, you just have a lot more people watching you. But I remember going to the mall and then all these, you know, like people were chasing me in the mall, and that was my first experience with something like that.
Wow.
And people were being really sweet. They were being really sweet. And then one person said, I like Jenny better than you. And it just went, well, like, you know, the first time you hear things like that, it hits you in a different way. And so I feel like from that point on, it humbled me because I realized that, you know, I'm like, you know what, if I'm in here, if I'm riding right here, I'm good.
Right.
You know, but once, you know, you let your ego get a little out of control, you're going to feel that drop, right? And it comes, you know, everything, it just, you know, I believe everything comes in, everything's full circle, and just this business is like a roller coaster, right? You have moments that it shoots up, and then, whoa, somebody said something, and you just, oh. Yeah, I guess in a way, I think people look at what we do as, you know, that we maybe don't have feelings, or we're live a very lucky, luxurious life with no problems. And I will say that there's so many perks, I'm not gonna lie, to being in this business. But yeah, I mean, things happen. You're more on display for people to say, you know, everything has to balance out. So yeah, you know, articles come out, rumors get started.
Oh yeah.
Dealing with that for the first time, that drove me crazy. When things are said that aren't true. If it's true, I'll deal with it.
Right.
I'll admit it, I'll come face to face with it. But people believe what they read in print. It's a fact.
Yep.
And that stays with you. And so there was a time when that was really frustrating for me.
I am 5150.
I have the power to choose my own path.
When you're 5150, you choose to stand out.
If you choose to believe in yourself and trust your strength, will carry you through.
Choose to strive for greatness.
Choose to do good.
And help make the world a better place. Choose to be passionate enough to chase your dreams.
I am 5150.
Do
you remember what that time was and why?
Probably around the time I started dating Dennis Rodman.
Okay. All right. Because I was like, damn it, Dennis got her, I'm out. But why was that, Carmen?
Well, you know, Dennis, Chicago Bulls,
Yeah.
the bad boy basketball. You know, Dennis likes to go out. He's you know, although there is a very, very humble side to Dennis, he has that flamboyant side too. We met and we clicked right away. And, you know, people, I don't think people even believe that we really were in love. People think it was a publicity stunt. I would never do that. I would never be in a relationship for a publicity stunt. I really, really loved him. I still love him. I mean, you know, sure. He was a husband, you know, but boy, you put us together, and we were very passionate. And yeah, I mean, the tabloids went absolutely crazy. My managers and everyone was like, "No, you guys can't." You know, when you're in love and having fun with someone, and listen, I was in my 20s. I'm doing that.
Yeah. But what 20 year, that's the thing I wanted to know, is how for you, within a mutual celebrity relationship, did you maintain your idea, but also be at that phase and be in the moment and enjoy it? Like you said, you're in your 20s, Dennis was mid 30s, I think, or something like that. And yeah, you guys were in love, and you got all these people throwing these daggers. It's total BS. Was there a lot of deflecting that? Was that things that caused additional stress? And I can't imagine how you dealt with that.
Well, it was, I was so in love, and, when I'm in my 20s, and Dennis is, believe it or not, he's very romantic. He's very.
I would believe it, Carmen, because I do have to be honest. I'm a big fan. I'm still in my 40s. I still do crazy hair and stuff like that. So, got my nose pierced, tattoos. So, I understand. So, but I get it. But I'm a romantic, so I understand.
I love, that gets me every time. And Dennis would always say, nobody gets me. I'm misunderstood, and then I'm like, no, I get you. Because I did see this other side to him that wasn't like the show, that he would put on, and he's really good at that, getting attention. But there was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I would casually drink, but when I was with Dennis, we were going out every night, and then I'm keeping up with the boys.
Right. Yeah.
Keeping up with the boys, and I had been to probably every strip club in the United States. Don't be jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dennis had a routine, and he wanted me to be with him all the time, and I was right there with him. And I remember getting in trouble with my agents and managers because I was blowing off auditions, and I just was wrapped up into
young and in love.
And they're like, you gotta keep this going. You're doing so well. So eventually I tried to balance it out, and I would have to take time for myself. I mean, once the Bulls won, their final win, Dennis came to LA, Los Angeles, and then I really, even though we still see each other, but not even as much as when he was in Chicago, because I definitely had to focus on auditioning and working.
Sure.
And taking a little time to myself.
Yeah, because I know that, and I've definitely been one of those people where you get so enamored at the early part, and then you're like, oh my God, I still got to be me. So I was really curious if how you did that with Dennis. Obviously, you've had other high-profile relationships. Of course, a fan of Dave's work as well. So how did Carmen, through these type of high-profile relationships, how did you deflect a lot of the negative? Because there is so much stuff, like you said, if it's in print, they believe that it's truth. And now everyone with the voice on the internet that wants to throw a dagger and say just terrible stuff to people just to get attention out of negativity. How do you now, after going through those high profile relationships, and how is it now that you just seem like in such a good place where Carmen's happy with Carmen, and life is good despite, we talked about some unfortunate circumstances you've been through prior to starting the interview, but how are you doing it?
I'm good. It's just, now I see it clearly, but sometimes when you're in the storm, you're not sure, like it was confusing. It was really confusing because you know, all of a sudden I'm dating someone that's really controversial, and now I am equal to that, you know. And I'm not saying that I wasn't a little controversial, but you know, I mean, they would do lists of, I remember there was a list of the top 10 bad girls, and I was #1 over Courtney Love.
Oh, what? Yeah, that.
You know,
Come on.
I saw Courtney play, you know, when she was Hole, when the band Hole.
Yeah.
Whoa, no, man. Like, she was a bad girl. And I'm thinking, whoa, how did I beat Courtney? I don't know whether to pat myself on the back for that, or like, is that good or bad? So it was interesting. It was interesting, definitely. But you know, when time passes, you look back at things and you go, why did I stress so hard?
Yeah.
You know, there was no point in stressing over that stuff, because it changed, you know, and my life changed, and it's still me. I mean, you know, it's added to character. It, you know, it's made me have to dig deep and learn about myself, figure myself out, and, you know, like I said, get back to auditioning. And whoa, in my wildest dreams, I never thought that I would, you know, be in so many movies, TV series, and all that. And it's such a fun ride. But I don't know, I guess I've always been interested in why things happen, and just, you know, the brain, and what, you know, our thoughts, and how some people can get through anything, and they're just, you know, happy no matter what. And how, you know, one person saying something negative can, like, affect me, you know, and why does that affect me and not the other person? I mean, it's interesting, you know. I think when you're in this business, you learn a lot about yourself really quick.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's you know, this transition from this, and, you know, as we told you, we primarily speak with folks maybe of an addiction history, and myself. Boy, it is amplified and brought so much shit to the surface for me. It's like, wow, I got to get a thicker skin with myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And speaking of, how was it, you know, you obviously did have some relationships with people with addictive behavior or an addiction history. What was that like for you to come in and be involved with that? You know, how did you perceive maybe addiction prior to ever being involved with anyone that had an addictive past?
I felt like through love I could help. Yeah. And had this codependency where I would feel like the person in my life that had an addiction needed me. Mm-hmm. And they would have codependency with me as well. And I thought that was love. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, all too well.
I remember with, in one circumstance in my life, a friend of mine said, you need to stay with this person and throw their drugs away. You have to, because this person's gonna die. And I took that on, and I did it. I would stay up all night, and like throwing drugs, flushing stuff, throwing drugs away, and, you know, driving to rehab and picking, you know, this person up at, you know, 2 days after rehab, and going back. And, you know, it was an emotional ride for me, and I was always scared. I was always afraid. This person was, you know, was gonna OD, and I took on this responsibility that I have to be there. No matter what, I have to be there.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate because it's so isn't and wasn't your responsibility. Carmen, we got a couple of fun rapid fire questions for you we want to throw out before we let you go. But this has just been awesome. You're such an extraordinary lady, and it's been such a pleasure for us to have this conversation with you. So,
thank you.
all right, first up, what is a pet peeve?
Ooh, pet peeve.
One of your pet peeves,
Besides spiders.
Besides spiders.
Snoring.
Well,
What is it?
Snoring.
I'm a light sleeper. I'm a
Damn it.
very light sleeper.
Carmen, I was just going to ask you to marry me, but I snore. This would never work.
Damn it.
Isn't there like something you can tape on your face?
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Okay,
I do
got
not
one.
snore, so yes.
We already agreed on the tape thing.
Okay.
Okay. If you could have dinner with just one person, living or not living, who would it be?
And why?
And why?
Living. I mean, well, obviously I'd have to say my mom.
Right.
Right, yeah.
I lost my mom in my 20s to cancer.
Right.
Definitely my mom. But if we stepped outside of my mom, it would have to be Jimi Hendrix or.
Oh, that's a good one.
I saw on Instagram you took a photo and it was something about the hashtag photo haze or something. I'm like, oh, she's a Hendrix lady.
Yeah.
She's a
I
Hendrix
like
lady.
Jim Morrison too, or Prince. You know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love to
sure.
have a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, he's missed. Everyone misses him.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of, if I can ask, and if it's something you don't want to discuss, if it's too emotional, I've had relationships. I have an ex-wife that we're still the best of friends, raised kids, but I've never lost anyone that I loved in a relationship context. How do you cope with that? And again, if it's too personal and you don't want to discuss it, Jason, I'd rather not. We totally respect that, but I'm just curious from the standpoint of that situation.
How do I cope with the end of a relationship?
Well, I mean, having, you spoke about your mom with cancer, and, that's tough. Of course, we lose a parent, but then someone that you were in a relationship that then thus has now passed away.
Yeah, it was my mom. She had a brain tumor, and we knew that her time was coming. So I would get phone calls. She wasn't really talking, but I would get phone calls from my dad saying, you need to come home right now. And that was hard because I was shooting and they didn't want to let me go. But I always worked it out to try to get, come home when especially when, they would say that. My sister passed away within a week from my mom.
Right.
Goodness.
And I think I was in shock for a long time. It was just bizarre. It was very bizarre. My sister was 40. We knew my mom's time was coming, but it happened so close. How did I get through it? I mean, good question. I think, obviously I was emotional, but I'm so far away. I guess everyone deals with, losing people in a different way. I kind of, not pretended, but I was so far away in LA, them being in Cincinnati, I kind of, to keep going and keep working, I had to kind of block it off, I guess. And I would do things to try not to think about it, and that was sort of that, a phase with Dennis, and where I was drinking a lot. And I remember looking in the mirror at myself and saying, who am I? I don't see myself in my eyes. Who am I? Yeah. And I'm like, listen, I can have a casual drink here or there, but I can't do this anymore. Yeah. I can't. that was a hard moment, but I decided to spend some time alone because I was relationship girl from
Right.
one to the next.
Sounds familiar.
You know, long term, but like, you know, engaged or getting married, and that's just how, you know, it was for me. And I hadn't taken the time to sort of grieve and feel everything. I was watching Oprah, believe it or not, and Dr. Phil was on at that time. He said, in order to heal, you have to feel.
Right.
And that clicked. And so I just started bawling. And I cried. I cried. I started getting spiritual books. I'd go to this bookstore and I didn't know. I'd just go to an area and say, guide me to what I need. And I'd pick a book off the shelf, read that book. And then I got in the habit of doing that and going and then working. But I was really, you know, taking care of myself. And, you know, that's, you know, when I came, I think you never get over it, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's times that you just want to pick up the phone, you know, and call, you know, your loved one that's deceased. It's still a mystery, but they want the best for us, you know? They want the best for us. They don't, you know, want us to go, you know, we have a path, right?
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites is Bob Marley. He has an amazing documentary that I saw, and he said he chose a path. He said I could have gone this way or that way, and he chose his path, and that stayed with me. You know, I can choose my path.
Yeah.
I can let things, you know, destroy me, or I can see it for what it is, grieve it, and, you know, keep going on the right path. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for opening up about that. All right, let's see. If a movie was made about your life, what genre would it be, and who would play you?
I don't know who would play me. I don't know, but
Would you be a rom-com?
I don't think it would be a comedy. I don't.
No.
I you know, there's moments of comedy,
Sure.
but I think
You could play yourself if it was a comedy, because Scary Movie, that shit still cracks me up.
Oh, that was fun. That was
Yeah.
I first fell in love with you when you were Roxanne in Good Burger.
Really?
That's when I did. Yep. My nephews are going through the exact same thing now too.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was fun.
So, I mean, I could see maybe because you were really great in The Last Dance, so maybe a documentary would be good, a 10-part series on Carmen.
Ooh. Yeah, you know, I've been asked to write a book. I have a book, but it's a fun book that I had put out a while ago. It's called How to Be Sexy, to go along with sort of aerobic striptease and my workout series and stuff. But yeah, because I've been asked and I've been holding off a little bit. It's, you know, it's something that I have to figure out because, you know, it'll be about me.
Yeah.
But I know with some of these companies, they really want you to get in deep with, you know, other, you know, like my relationships or celebrities that, you know, play a big role in my life. And so it's tricky because, I don't know, I'll probably do it at some point. But yeah, I think people would really be surprised if they saw a documentary about my life. I mean, I remember on Instagram, someone said something to me like, I'm like really into the gram. And so I read a lot of, almost all the comments and stuff. And, you know, I think like a different generation thinks that I'm from a very wealthy family and maybe live like a Hilton. No, I'm very independent, and you know, I work hard, and you know, my mom taught me that, and I always wanted to be that and not have to depend on anybody.
Yeah.
Although it would be nice, you know.
Well, we all want, I think there's a difference, don't you? It's like the idea of interdependence. It's you know, I definitely had relationship codependency stuff, and then, you know, probably played in with my addiction stuff. But the best that was ever put on me is if you have an interdependent relationship, think of it like two train tracks, and you and your partner are each walking on your own track, but you're heading in the same direction. And when one of you kind of needs to lean, you can put the hand out and lean against each other. And I was like, shit, why didn't I ever realize that sooner? You know, we all want that person, you know, that's just like there, you know, that's just like, that's down with whatever. And it's like, no matter how much you're struggling, they're not judging, they listen, you know, they're your sounding board, whatever it is, you know, we all want that. That's Mikey asking you to marry him, you know.
What's really cool is that, you know, meeting people that have been in the program. I think they're doing the steps and working steps. There's some wiseness and spirituality, and in knowing, like, hey, you know, and I kind of dig that. In order for me to stay sober, I can't do this, that, and the other, and communication is a little bit more there. I to be honest, yeah, I mean, I think probably one of the most successful relationships I've had was with someone that really followed those guidelines, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about myself, and I, you know, I'm not an addict, and I, you know, was able to stop drinking when I wanted to, but you can still use those steps in any part of your life. Yeah. And spiritually, you know, it's pretty cool. I don't know. Yeah.
I think everyone should try the 12 steps at least once. So Carmen, tell us what's going on for Carmen now. Where's Carmen headed in the future? You got a lot of great stuff going on. You were talking about the I forget the title of it exactly, the strip aerobics and everything else. Yeah. What we got going on? Where can people find out more about Carmen? Of course, we follow Carmen on Instagram and Facebook, so you can find that pretty easy by searching her. But what are the projects?
Right now, well, you know, the quarantine kind of slowed everything down a little bit. So I have a couple shoots, really big shoots that have been pushed. So just waiting for, you know, hopefully things to slowly come back to normal. But in the meantime, I'm developing my own skincare line and makeup line.
Oh, very cool.
And this is something I've wanted to do throughout my entire career and never had the chance to do it. I was the face of Max Factor, which was, you know, I mean, I was just really, really proud of that because, you know, representing a makeup line of that status was a really big deal for me in my career. But now, sort of what the things that I like, I mean, I've always been a makeup girl, and now I'm able to develop it, and it's been fun, and it's a good time to start working on things, you know, organically. I have a really great company I'm working with, so I'm excited. I'm excited to share.
That's awesome.
Nice. That's awesome.
We're excited for you, and there's nothing like enthusiasm. That is, it is. It's frenetic, you know. It's like when you talk to someone, it's like, wow, I don't know anything about that. Tell me about it because you're passionate. One last thing, Carmen, that I like to ask folks: if you could talk to your younger self, is there any words of advice that you would want to give your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to stop worrying, stay in the moment, and enjoy everything. We look back at the small things that, you know, got in the way, and they don't mean anything. You look back and you go, everyone forgot, I forgot, you know? So yeah, I would definitely say just, you know, do what makes you happy. Find the job that makes you happy. Live a full life. and be yourself.
Love that.
Anything else, Mikey?
Carmen, thank you so much for taking the time talking with us. You're awesome.
Thank you.
This really has been such an honor and a pleasure. And, you know, thank you for being transparent and getting it out. You know, it was really important to both of us when we started talking about people that we could speak with, that I said, there's a really strong story of a strong woman that, you know, if we can talk with Carmen and let her know that that's what we want to hear, that she would share with us, and you have, and I know the audience is going to get a lot out of it. So we thank you very much for your time.